You ever have one of those weeks? You power through a massive project, a family crisis, whatever it is, and the second you finally get a chance to relax, you just fall apart? Well, today we're becoming the architects of our own lives. We're going to deconstruct that dangerous paradox and design a brand new blueprint for how we handle stress. So let's kick things off with a pretty weird idea.
It all starts with this. We're taught to believe that stress is the enemy, right? It's the storm we just have to survive. But what if the real damage, the real danger, isn't in the middle of the chaos, but in that quiet moment right after it ends? It's a concept that kind of flips everything we think we know about stress completely on its head.
I know, it sounds totally backwards. How can rest, the very thing you're craving, that vacation, that weekend, actually be the thing that makes you sick or exhausted or just completely crash? Well, that is the central mystery we are unpacking today. And believe me, the answer has huge implications, especially for women.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to define this stress paradox. Then, we'll dive into why women are often more vulnerable to it. We'll look at the energetic fallout in our relationships. And then, this is the most important part. We're going to build a new blueprint with a practical protocol to put you right back in the driver's seat.
So, this whole phenomenon isn't just you imagining things. It actually has a scientific name, the letdown effect. And yeah, it's a real, studied process that explains exactly why getting a horrible cold on the first day of your vacation is so common.
Okay, so the official term is a psychoneuroimmunological phenomenon. Whoa, that is a mouthful, I know. But it's just a fancy way of saying that your mind, your nervous system, and your immune system are all tangled up together. And when that whole system has been on high alert, it doesn't just power down gracefully, it crashes hard.
Let's break this down. It happens in 3 steps. First, when you're stressed, your body is swimming in cortisol. That's your survival hormone. It keeps you laser-focused, and, this is key, it suppresses your immune system, so you don't get sick while you're, fighting off a tiger. Then, the stressor is gone, you relax, and your cortisol levels don't just go down, they absolutely plummet, and that's the trigger for the crash. Your immune system is suddenly let off the leash, and it rebounds like crazy, causing a massive explosion of inflammation. And hello migraine, hello flu, hello complete exhaustion.
This quote just nails it perfectly. Think of it like this. All that energy you borrowed during the stressful time, it has to be paid back. The letdown effect is just your body showing up to collect the debt. And trust me, it always charges interest.
But here's the thing. This doesn't hit everyone the same way. It turns out that, biologically speaking, women's internal architecture makes them uniquely vulnerable to this whole crash cycle.
See, the classic stress response we all hear about is fight or flight, and that's driven by cortisol. But women have another powerful response system called tend and befriend, which is fueled by oxytocin, the hormone of connection and safety. Now here's the problem. When you're under chronic stress, your body gets stuck in that cortisol-driven fight or flight mode, and cortisol actively blocks the restorative, calming oxytocin system. The very thing designed to bring you back to safety gets shut down.
Now, this biological state has a direct energetic consequence. The source material describes it as a deep shift from a feminine energetic state to a more masculine one. And this has massive, massive implications, especially for our romantic relationships. So to get this, we have to understand these two energies, which, by the way, exist in everyone. Feminine energy is about being, receiving, flowing. It's intuitive. Masculine energy is about doing, direction, and structure. It's logical. You need both. But chronic stress forces a woman to live almost entirely in that masculine doing mode just to get by. It's like she has to put on a suit of armor every single day.
And the fallout in a relationship from this is huge. You know how opposites attract? That's polarity. But if both partners are operating in that same masculine, doing energy, they start to repel each other. The man might pull away, feeling like he's not needed, and the woman feels like she has to do absolutely everything herself. That spark, that connection that fuels intimacy, it just dries up.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's biological, it's energetic, and it messes with our relationships. But hey, we're here to be architects, right? So let's pivot. Let's move from the problem to the solution. It is time to build a new blueprint. One designed not just to survive, but to actually thrive.
This new design is built on 3 core pillars. First, we have the interface. That's all about reprogramming how you see stress. Second is the coherent nexus. That's about getting your physical body back in sync. And third, the integration, which is where we put it all together and you become the true architect of your own experience.
So pillar 1, the interface, is a crucial mental reframe.
It's about using principles from things like neuro-linguistic programming to stop seeing stress signals as a sign of immediate danger. Instead, you start to see them as just data, a simple signal for recalibration. It's not a tiger chasing you, it's just your body's check engine light coming on.
But, just thinking differently isn't going to cut it. You have to get your body on board too. That's where the coherent nexus comes in. The whole point is to avoid that sudden cortisol cliff dive. So instead of going from 100 miles an hour to 0 and crashing, you use active techniques like specific breathing patterns to gently guide your nervous system down. It's a controlled landing, not an emergency crash.
So let's get super practical. How do you actually use this new blueprint in the real world, when life is coming at you fast? This brings us to the coherence protocol, a toolkit that helps you shift from surviving to creating, right in the moment. And it's a really simple 3-step process. Step 1, recognize the signals. Is your jaw tight? Are your shoulders up by your ears? Is your brain just looping, I have to do it all? That's the alarm bell. Step 2, acknowledge it without any judgment. Just say, okay, I'm in survival mode right now. Just naming it gives you power over it. And finally, step 3, convert that state using the Nexus protocol, those breathing techniques we just talked about, to bring your body back to a place of safety.
But what about the partner in all this? This part is absolutely critical. A man's role here is not to solve her problem. He's not meant to be the fixer. His role is to be the container, to provide a solid, safe, unshakable space where she can finally let go of all that armor.
And the instructions here are super clear and practical. Don't throw logic at her when she's in an emotional storm. It won't work. Don't pull away, because that just confirms her biggest fear that she's all alone. Instead, just be present. Give her a real hug, one that lasts more than 20 seconds, because that actually triggers the release of oxytocin. And take small, decisive actions to lighten her load, like just saying, I'll handle dinner. It shows leadership, not control.
The result of all this is something incredibly powerful. It's called co-regulation. His calm, grounded presence literally helps to regulate her nervous system. It creates that deep sense of safety she needs to finally put down the sword and shield, take off the armor, and come back to her natural, flowing, feminine energy.
So let's just put it all side by side. The old blueprint is a life of survival. You're stuck in that hard, masculine energy, just lurching from high stress to a total crash, and it leads to conflict or distance in your relationship. But the new blueprint, the super version, is about living fluidly, being able to shift between energies. It changes the cycle from stress, then crash, to effort, then recovery. And that is what restores that magnetic attraction and deep connection.
Look, this isn't about getting rid of stress. That's impossible. This is about building a smarter system to process it, a system that prevents the crash and rebuilds connection. It's about becoming the architect of your own well-being. So the only real question left is, are you ready to pick up the pen and redraw your blueprint?